You're talking to the demo guy.
The
bronze is good.
It's a bronze one.
But we did have, it's a company called Good Old Times. They actually come out and salvage it. You might have seen their truck out front the other day.
Okay.
They were coming through picking out what items that they want, and you'll probably see it on eBay in about 2 weeks.
Do I get the operating room light? Do I get the operating room?
Well, they really like that too. That's a real antique. So
Oh, it's wonderful.
I thought I'd let you know, it is going to be
Yeah,
salvaged.
because, I mean, it kills me to see anything that's,
me too.
that's wrong. I mean, that place, if they built anything on the island like that now, the construction companies would be out of business for 75 years. Okay, another question is, the F building, the lab building, the F building is the northernmost one.
Yeah.
Now, is that a sidewalk shed or a street shed? Because it's not a very wide street. When you're demolishing the F building, that building is right on the
We already have the fence or the barriers on the corner of the sidewalk, so accessing the sidewalk won't be possible.
Okay.
So we are going to put a scaffold on that side and probably a higher fence with the debris netting down the side of it.
It's overhead protection.
So wait, so is the street going to be covered or just the sidewalk?
Just the sidewalk.
Just the sidewalk.
Well, wait, the sidewalk is not accessible.
Yeah, the sidewalk now.
You won't be able to walk
Can't
under
use
the
sidewalk now.
I haven't been able yet. I took it anyway. I will find it today. But so you'll have to walk on the sports bar side.
Yes, ma'am.
Joyce?
That's all.
Joyce, will you be doing any further soil testing as you're going along before you dig into the ground?
Well, I don't think that we're not digging into the grounds to excavate anything. The existing foundations are where we'll be doing our excavation work. We are, like as I said earlier, we're anticipating there to be petroleum tanks, and that is possible with that. There's petroleum contamination in the soil, which we would excavate in accordance with DEC requirements. We're very familiar with the testing and excavation requirements for that type of soil.
There were murals in the building. I wanted to know what happened to them.
Yeah, so we've done extensive testing. There's as far as we can tell from all the testing we've done, there are 3 murals that are still in the building. We're committed to taking all of them, removing them from the building to a studio, a conservation studio, restoring them, because 2 of them have been painted over. And once they're restored, to bring them back to install them on the campus when the campus opens in 2017. So we should be, I think by the end of March, we expect those murals to be removed. And when you look back at the schedule, they're all in Building B, which is part of the second phase of the project. Yeah, and there's also a set of stained glass windows that are located in the chapels at the southern end in the extension building in the J building. Those are being removed by HHC, Health and Hospice Corporation, and they're being relocated, as I understand it, to the Kohler Hospital at the north end of the site. So that's the extent of the artwork in the building.
And when those murals are put back into your building, will they be in a place that's accessible to the public?
You know, it's a good question. I can't answer that yet because we haven't determined the plan of where they'll be located. What I would say is right now, where they are in the hospital, in the day rooms, we're not accessible to the public. So we would like to make them accessible if we can. If they're in a part of the building that's kind of behind the Cornell barrier, we would certainly allow people to go in and see them as part of our commitment to preserving them, but we just don't have a plan yet for where exactly they're going to be.
Do you have a...
Yes, I think I missed this, but you indicated phase 1 is 105 days. How long is phase 2?
Let's see, phase 2.
130.
I don't remember off the top of my head. 130.
130.
Is that 130 days overlapping with phase 1 when phase 1?
No, it's 130 days.
After phase 1 is
correct. I believe the schedule as it was originally was targeted to end in November.
Okay.
If you should find some type of, say, toxic reserve there, back
before the 70s when they were doing dumping. Places like Roosevelt Island would be ideal for having dumped toxic substances. What is the plan, and how would the escalation go if you should find some type of toxic reserve in the site?
Right. It would need to be characterized before any determinations could be made. If there is a suspect condition uncovered, we would have to have it characterized. That characterization would tell us what it is. Once we have it characterized and we know what it is, there are protocols and requirements for how it's handled and how it's disposed. Right. We do hazardous site remediation. It's one of our primary businesses. We self-perform it all with our own equipment. We have a transporter, a Part 364 permit. We do all that work ourselves. So if it's encountered on the site, we're equipped to handle it.
There was a water main break last week because of undocumented pipes beneath the ground. What's going to be done to ensure that that doesn't happen again?
Let's turn over to Tishman to talk about that, because they're overseeing the site work.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for everybody. We have a site survey that we've been working off of, and that's a compilation of a number of different surveys that were developed over time since Cornell, the transaction occurred. What we had thought was that obviously there was no pipes where they dug. What you need to know is that under normal circumstances in the city, all of the piping would usually be in the right-of-way, which is, in your case, would be within the curbs and the roadway, as it is in New York City. On this site, that's not the case. We've got 12.5 acres here, only about 250,000 square feet, which is roughly 5 acres, is covered with buildings. So every place else on the site, which is open space, based on what we're seeing on the surveys, has either electric, water, and sewer outfalls. Okay, so all of these things were put on top of each other with PHA, who is the civil engineer for the site. They overlaid it, and we came up with a registry. And they had the work. They were in the field. They had the documents. They had done what would be considered to be a professional approach to how they went down, essentially hand digging with an auger to, I think it was 4 to 5 feet. They thought they were clear of anything that they could possibly hit, and it turns out that the water pipe that they hit was actually at -12. So that gave everybody pause. You dealt with silty water for a while. They've just fixed it. So what that's done for us, working with John and the rest of my office and with Cornell's consultants and their representative, Forest City Radnor, we've developed a protocol to do any more drilling on site. So what that requires is that we're going to be staking out any place. We have about, right now, probably on about 10 additional borings that need to be conducted. Each one of them are obligations that we have, or they have, to the city of New York for foundations. There's a certain number that you have to do for the building code. So as we locate them, as they identify them on the site, we're going to locate them, and then we're going to stake all the utilities that are around them. There was some good information that came out of what happened. Granted, for all of our sakes, it was a bad occurrence. But we now know more about the stratification where all these things are, because they were all pretty much done at similar times. There's a direct buried conduit system that's in the west roadway that are feeders that serve the south of the island. We now know that the 12-foot deep is where your water main is, and there's some other information that we got as it relates to the depths of vaults and other things. So we're going to use that information to continue to build this up so that we have a real knowledge of where these things are. So once we locate a boring where it's intended to be planted, we're going to stake out where we believe them to be. We're going to use essentially metal detectors and ground penetrating radar to confirm that that's indeed the case. If there's anything that we can't find that we believe that's supposed to be there between these other things, we're going to have to do test beds. So that's our approach to this. The reality of it is, though, that you've got 70 years worth of utility work that's laid on top of this site that really is not very well documented. So it's going to take a lot of effort on our part when we go through there and do this. And like I said, there's 10 borings that are planned right now that we're going to put this strategy in place. We actually just brought onto our team what is referred to as a site coordinator, and he's going to be actually monitoring all of this as part of the team, and that's his responsibility. So we're going to be working with Cornell, the consultants, Forest City Radnor to make sure that this is done and put into place, and that we don't have another occurrence.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we've done, I don't have an exact number for you right now, but I can get it. We've already done about 12 or so borings around the site without incident. You know, as Ted mentioned, based on mappings of the site and estimates and markouts and stakeouts, and now we're going to take that additional step of doing the ground penetrating radar and detection. The other thing is we've always done hand digging to a certain level. So again, it's you know, it's an unfortunate occurrence. Obviously, we're going to try to avoid it, do whatever we can in the future by being a little bit more aggressive.
So before any future borings are done, you'll be doing investigations on the site to see whether or not there are any underground pipes.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we do that for all the borings, but we're taking it to an additional step to use this equipment that we hadn't used before on the site. But yes.
Ellen has one more question, Andrew, and then we should move on to Karen.
Go ahead. I just, now I'm questioning, does that affect the geothermal drillings?
Yes, any borings that we're doing will be subject to what Ted talked about. There are 3 geothermal borings. One of them is already down to 85 feet, so we don't believe there's any utilities lower than 85 feet. So that one we're in good shape, and that was the one that was actually had the most utilities near it. So we triangulated to figure out where that would go. The other 2 are further away from anything we know about. But again, we're gonna have the same, whether it's a geotechnical boring, which is for a foundation, or a geothermal, which is for the temperature characteristics below grade. We're going to have the same approach.
I thought there was something like 60 geothermal.
400.
Yeah,
was in the original, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So the borings that we're doing now are to determine the geothermal characteristics underground. So we're doing 3 of those to test how many we're going to need in the future. When the 300 or 100 or 500, however many are needed, when those are put in, by that time we will have moved all of the utilities off of the site and into the public right-of-way. You know, one of the things we've talked about as part of this project overall is to upgrade every utility that's down there, electric, water, sewer, storm, everything. Part of the upgrading is moving it into the right-of-way, so it's fully mapped and it's fully accessible for the future.
Is Karen presenting?
Yeah, Karen's going to present too.